Hi, it's Sue Greenwald here with Awakened Stories. I'm here today with Deanna at the Mystical Moonlight. Hey, Deanna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Okay, today's surprise topic is fires. Okay, so specifically, I want to talk about two or three fires that seem like they're related. Okay, the first one is the Great Chicago Fire in 1871. And a lot of us, when we were children, we heard stories about these fires, and we're told that it started in the Murphy's barn or whatever, something like that. But this fire was in 1871, killed 300 people, left 100,000 homeless, caused at the time 222 million plus dollars in damages, which would be billions in today's dollars. But the interesting thing about the Chicago fire is it was the same day as the Peshtigo fire in Wisconsin. And that one was
Mhm.
much, much bigger, but we don't have a song about it and nobody knows about it. The Peshtigo fire killed, almost 2,500 people. And again, there's no accurate counts. There's no death toll. They use mass graves. A lot of missing people in that particular fire. And then there were three other fires on the same day in the same general area. Port Huron, White Rock, and Manistee, Holland, in Michigan area. Kind of all in the same area. Okay,
Yeah.
big question. Were these deliberately set or were they just random all at the same time?
Oh, it was definitely deliberate.
Yeah. Okay. So they were trying to cover something up, or were there other motives? Like, why did they set all these fires on the same day?
Some of them had different motives, but for the most part, they were trying to cover-ups.
Okay.
They were taking stuff, they were moving stuff, they were hiding stuff. There is just a hard way to get it to be covered up, except for, if they made everything disintegrate. That was probably the quickest, fastest way to make things change in a quick amount of time.
Right, right. And of course, back then, all the buildings, the sidewalks, everything was made of wood. So it was super easy to burn stuff down, right? And they didn't have
Yeah,
electric like we do now. They used candles or kerosene lamps or whatever they used. And there was a lot
it
more,
was more purposeful.
yeah. So who was the one covering stuff up? Was it the government? Was it secret groups? Like, can you tell us a little bit about what they were covering up and who did it?
It was government. Well, at least most of it was the government. So part of it for the first initial fire you talked about, that was taking information.
Okay.
They had records, they had a lot of information in one location, and they wanted some information. Like they did hold on to some of it. Some of it they wanted destroyed. Like I said, the easiest way to make things disappear without a lot of questions is by burning. Um, in that time frame, they didn't have as much not monetize, wait, waste videotape, record, all that stuff. So it was easier for people to get away with stuff. Even if you had somebody see you, it's easier to bribe somebody to not say anything than it is nowadays. If once somebody knows nowadays, it's everywhere.
Right.
So it was a lot easier to cover things up in that point in time. So at that first fire, it was taking information, hiding information.
Okay. So was this like papers or whatever, like a bunch of reports, documents, papers or whatever? Because like why
Yeah.
didn't they just stick it in a burning barrel and burn it? Like why did they have to burn the city down?
Well, there is more than just a few. Like, just imagine, like, we think about document places. I don't know how to say this, I guess. Like, when I think of documents, I think of a file cabinet in an office.
Right.
There's singular that you could take them out, you could burn them. It's easier that way, right?
Right.
But when you're talking about thousands of documents, thousands of file cabinets, it's easier not to look through it because not only are you trying to find exactly what you're looking for many. and then you're talking about getting rid of it. So you're wasting a lot of time going through, finding what you need, and then disposing of it. At that point in time, the amount of information they were trying to hide, it made more sense to burn it because at some point they're going to notice how much is missing. There's going to be more questions. Whereas if something goes up into flames, paper is gonna burn. You know things are gonna go missing because it's burnt. So there's not gonna be
Yeah.
as many questions. They're not gonna be looking into more details. They're not gonna try to figure out what files are missing. How do the files connect? Because they can't figure it out. So it made more sense for them to burn versus take a few.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Now this Peshtigo fire, which was substantially bigger, was that the same reason? Were they also burning documents?
No, they were burning bigger, larger evidence. And when I say this, I'm not talking about just buildings, I'm talking about what's underneath buildings. Meaning they were hiding a lot more experimentation, people, items underneath. So they needed a large scale fire to hide. And the number was more than 2,500.
Of course it was. So basically, they had been doing a whole bunch of nasty, nefarious stuff under that area, and they
Mhm.
burned the city down to cover up their
Yeah.
evidence. Why did they
Yeah.
feel the need to cover that up, just out of curiosity? Did something happen?
Well, I did experimentation, number one,
Yeah.
hiding a lot of illegal objects and substances,
Yeah.
doing things that they're not necessarily allowed to be doing. And they actually had a lot of people on their tail at the time. So,
Ah,
at the same moment, they were trying to hide their big scheme, their big projects, their big things that they were not be allowed to work on because they had people actually looking into them.
okay.
They were being caught. So the best way, they had a short amount of time, and that's why there's so many in a singular day. They wanted all of these places to get rid of the evidence because they knew people were going to go look. They knew people were going to go get into it, and they knew what they were going to find. There was no hiding it. They
Okay.
were hiding so well because nobody knew about it. But
Right.
now that somebody knows, they're looking into it. It's an easier way to hide it. And by burning it down, it takes away a lot more evidence than it does by just moving it. Because at this location, it's such a large scale, there is no way to easily move it.
Right. Okay. Is that stuff that was under where the fire was still there?
Mm, there's remnants.
Remnants. Okay. Okay. All right. One other fact I didn't say earlier is I'm thinking it's this Peshtigo fire. Like I said, it was more than 2,500 people, but and of course there's a lot of displaced people with a fire like that, and they didn't have like the technology like we do to track
Mhm.
people. Hey, where's Joe Schmo or whatever. All right. So there's a lot more ease in having displaced people, but this was a major displacement of primarily African Americans, it said. Okay. I
Mhm.
don't remember numbers. I don't remember any of the details, but I thought that was an interesting tidbit that they marked down in when I was looking into
Mhm.
this a while ago.
Yeah.
Any reason why? It's
Well,
just,
of course,
yeah,
they wanted to change the narrative. They had a space, they had structure, they had pretty much everything set up.
yeah,
Now there was a lot of stuff going on in the space. There's a lot of things that were happening in the background. But when you have a space where people are actually becoming comfortable, especially when we talk about African Americans in this time frame, you know, people don't like that. They don't like that they were comfortable. They just had this narrative that they could not be. They had this title of being slaves and that's all they could be. And for a lot of people, it's a really hard concept, which I think is ridiculous. And they took it away. And this is
yeah,
not the first time they have done this in our society. I mean, Philadelphia is another one where they actually bombed the whole city
Right,
and put a lot of people and displaced them.
right,
And it was a spot where, African Americans were building up,
right,
even though they weren't given a lot, they were doing well with what they were given.
right. It seems like every time they start to get ahead, they're purposely held back. There's some
Yeah.
nefarious plan, but yeah. So that's pretty sad. So basically, the whole fire thing there was to cover up evidence, destroy documents, and if they had the fun of displacing people at the same time, yay, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you also have to think it's kind of like what's the one we just talked about with the whole bomb, what's the name of it? Either way, they once they get people out, it's also easier for them to start moving stuff, to transition stuff, to get things out that they might have missed. So by displacing people also, it's a way for them to get the extra stuff that they needed and give themselves more time.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So separate but related is the San Francisco fires. There's more than one. So there
Mhm.
was a fire in 1851, then there was a fire in 1863. And the 1863 was probably the bigger one. It destroyed three-quarters of San Francisco, 10 to 12 million of damage way back when. So that's a big number today, and most of it uninsured. Okay, so
Mhm.
was there a nefarious purpose behind those fires?
Yes, that one is a little bit different. That one is more on the purpose of the companies wanting to take the land. If you think about it, they even do this now. I mean, we just had a huge fire, what, I think a year or two ago,
Hmm.
and it was a whole thing about how the insurance pulled out right before the fire
Yep.
happens,
Yep.
right? And what's going to happen is people can't rebuild. That's a lot of money and they've lost everything.
Right.
So what are they going to do?
Right.
Most of the time, they're going to sell their land. They're going to sell whatever they've got and
Right.
do with what they've got,
Right.
right?
Right.
So this was an easy tactic and it's still used. I mean, it's in any way, shape, or form, they use it. Even if you think about tornado land,
Right. Yeah.
they literally wait for tornadoes to take down people's houses and
Right.
then buy the land from them.
Right. Right.
So it is a big way for these companies to gain a lot of land
Right.
on a cheap scale.
Right. So that's what they were doing because, again, most of everything was wood back then, and much of the homes and the buildings were uninsured. So
Mhm.
easy way to get cheap property, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Easy, easy way.
One more little side note here, the Great Boston Fire of 1872. So
Mhm.
$72 million lost in just the property way back when. So billions of dollars worth now. And a few lost lives there, but same
Mhm.
kind of an idea. Was that a land grab as well?
Yeah, that was a land grab also.
Okay. All right. So just well, here's how this whole line of questioning came about. A few months ago, we were talking about it, and it was like bing, the light bulb went off. I wrote all this down and then forgot about it. We haven't had much time. Is
Yeah.
there anything else we should know about these particular fires, the reason why they had anything, any other details that would be interesting?
Those are the main details.
Okay.
Like I mean, they're complex. I
Yeah.
mean, if you think about it, there's a
Yeah.
lot more that happens, but for the base details, those are it. Um, Really, anytime you see these large natural disasters, most of the time they're not natural.
No.
Especially this time frame that we're in right now, a lot of things have been changed, altered, and manipulated to
Right.
create these disasters to either offset the population, to wipe out part of the population,
Yeah.
or to take assets.
Right.
And most of the time, when we talk about assets, we're talking about stuff that they can mine, take from the earth as resources.
Right. Right. Good way to say assets because
Mhm.
yeah, they want the land, they want what's under the land, and they don't
Mhm.
really care much about the people or their lives or the loss of life. So, so I guess I'd say to anyone watching this, if you have further questions, give us some comments. We'll get back to you as we're able to. And I appreciate your time, Deanna. Thank you so much.
Of
All
course.
right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.